Welcome back, good people, to another episode of Kaleidospoke podcast with the hosts Richie Rich and myself, Aaron. I'm gonna just do an Aaron double F. From now on, I'm having a little kind of like gimmicky name. Like, you know, Richie Rich has got that kind of flow. I think I'm gonna do Aaron Fizzy. I don't know.
Nice.
Yes.
It's catchy.
Well, look, guys, if you have not already, please subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple. I think we're even on Google Podcasts. And find us on socials, on Insta. We're always posting interesting stuff. We'd love to hear your feedback. DM us. It is actually us. It's not like some like manager, because obviously the manager can't be on the socials all the time because they're out there like promoting our brand. So you will get us if you DM us. Today, I know at this recording, at this particular time, it is Easter. So I want to wish you a happy Easter. When this actually comes out, who knows when it will be when you actually listen to it. But the sentiments still are there. Mr. Rich, how you doing, my friend?
Very good, very good. Happy Easter. Hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've got plenty of chocolate, Easter bunny, Easter eggs, and you've woken up to a very pleasant surprise. This is the mark of spring, right? Daffodils, plants, flowers blossoming, all the animals and wildlife are getting jiggy with it, and this is life. Life is coming. New life.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like we are definitely in this kind of like this metaphorical spring as well. Like the sun is starting to turn up. We'll be out of lockdown officially next week, and everyone's moving around, and it feels like the spring of life. Like we're all kind of coming back. It's really cool. But it did snow today, which is pretty weird. It's like
what the fuck.
Yeah,
I know. I looked out my window and I saw these white things in the sky, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. It's April. Yeah. Hopefully that's the last we see of that, because that's a sign of global warming. It's a real thing.
It is. Wow, that's an extremely interesting subject. It's not one of our three amazing subjects today. Myself, I'm just going to give a little honest review of life right now. Myself and Mr. Rich, we've been engrossed in a number of things, and today's podcast will reflect what we've probably been spending a lot of our days on these days. So we will start with, given the rise of social media, information everywhere, and Google, you being able to like answer questions at a drop of a hat. The temptation is growing more and more for you to use all the information on the internet to find the arguments that confirm the things you believe. So we'll ask each other, where confirmation bias plays a role. Like, how dangerous is it? How good is it? And if you don't know what confirmation bias is, it's like the tendency to like interpret new evidence like as a confirmation of your existing belief. So a great example of this, you see this in the political arena all the time, whether you got right and left, those on the right tend to go to the groups on the right online to get the information to confirm what they believe, which kind of keeps them in that right-handed, political kind of arena. So why do people do this? And I think most of it is like to have a bit of comfort when you're on shaky ground. You've got this idea, philosophy, thesis, whatever, and most of us know as an adult, there'll be somebody's going to come and challenge this, right? So you need a couple of points to kind of back your argument up and the reason why you believe this thing, not only to other people but to yourself too. So that's what we're discussing today. We'll pass it on over to you. Like, how many times a day do you think you use confirmation bias in your life?
How many times a day? 365. No, 24.
360.
I don't know. 60 times 24. Big number. It's a big number. Everything is a confirmation bias.
Quick maths.
Just throwing out large numbers. Large. I mean, every day I wake up and I try to confirm if I'm still alive, and it, start there. Confirmation bias is an interesting thing, right? It's as you kind of mentioned, we all have beliefs, we all have curiosities, or we all want to know the truth or stand by a truth or a point of fact, or and when we seek to prove this wrong or right, we have a hypothesis, and this is big in sort of science, right? You always have a hypothesis, and that's your experiment, and you have a null hypothesis, and you're trying to prove it correct or wrong, and that's what we're doing all throughout. We always find these points, and it might be like just as a parent, you might say, oh, my child, my boy, my girl they're so gifted. They got like a certificate in school. Confirmation bias. There's partly confirmation bias, but obviously, trying to morally support your child, of course, it's all well and good. But also, like the confirmation bias of you reject what you see contrary to what challenges your belief, which is it's potentially dangerous, right? You always, I always try to stay open to the fact that I could be wrong, and of course, there's 50% chance, or even higher percent chance that I'm wrong. But as you're trying to build up a narrative, build up a thesis, whether it's a business idea or it's an idea of like you want to move to another area, and you say, okay, well, this is a nice area because you have nice people, nice schools, etc. You're always trying to seek data points which help you make that decision, or keep that decision and confirm that decision was correct. So yeah, I mean, it's an everyday life. I mean, I don't know about you, but especially when I'm trying to seek something new, I'm listening to multiple news feeds or videos or pieces of information, and they all tend to say the same thing, and I'm like, okay, well, this is definitely true. Like, there's this whole thing of if you say something is true more than 7 times, you believe it's like more likely to be true. So yeah, confirmation bias is real. It's a real thing.
It is, and it's interesting that you mentioned it in the science arena, right? Because when a theory is presented, it must be tested in order for it to reign true. And in most things in life in general, when you put it to the test, you're also putting it through a challenge. And now if you're putting yourself to the test and putting your belief through a challenge, and then at the end of that test, your original belief fails, sometimes it's quite a tough pill to swallow, So yeah. This is the thing that kind of keeps people in the realm of, okay, I'll deal with the information that I like to hear, or the information along the same lines of thought as mine, so that I don't have to go through this test that's going to either prove my beliefs to be more true more true in the real world. I would much rather not challenge that and just believe what I want to believe. And yeah, that happens for us many times. And actually, it's quite interesting because there is, like, if you think about your own friendship groups, most friendship groups kind of go on the idea that we're all roughly in agreement of, the same kind of things, right? So you could argue that, your friendship groups are part of this confirmation bias as well. So it's quite interesting, and maybe that's another thing. This is probably why, at least historically, you've seen scientists tending to be quite antisocial and quite loner type, because actually they're always testing theories. They're always they see it as, okay, I have to put this to the test. I have to put this to the test. And with friends, you might some of your friends might not appreciate you putting their ideas to the test, or these things to the test constantly. It can, in some cases, it can kind of like weigh quite heavily on a friendship. So yeah, like there are moments when like kind of confirmation, I won't necessarily say bias, but potentially confirmation is quite important. It would.
I think like it is what you mentioned there. Like the world of academia is quite interesting, because a whole theory or thesis or hypothesis is based on many assumptions, and there's always this intellectual debate. And another sort of professor or whatever would write something that challenges that assumption, and if one of the assumptions can be proven wrong, then the whole thing falls down, type thing. And there's a constant sort of battle. But to the point that you mentioned about friendship groups as well, we kind of mentioned this before, like the rabbit holes, but there are many sort of echo chambers that many people find ourselves in. And I think even social media, we spoke about this before, like creates these virtual echo chambers, and it's even easier to as well, because again, these algorithms that feed you what you have last watched or listened to, so that you can reinforce your thoughts, or reinforce this same theme that you've been hunting for. But yeah, confirmation bias is interesting, where people think the world is flat, for example, all these kind of like outlandish type I guess beliefs that and from my point of view it's outlandish, but from them they've seen and heard so many references, and people talk about it, that there needs to be an element of truth, and a large element of truth, greater than 50%. I mean, it's a whole bunch of scenarios where, again, this confirmation bias comes in to everyone's life. I guess I don't try to say I'm perfect. And again, when we, for example, we have been looking at crypto for a long while, and there's a lot of stuff in there which says, Bitcoin is the new gold, and Bitcoin is, the next best thing since humanity, or sliced bread, as we like to say in the UK. And I'm watching these videos and thinking, yeah, this is damn right true. I'm not really looking at the points that challenge it per se, although I'm listening to them. But what comes into my view is more the stuff that reinforces that view. I'm looking almost for reasons to believe it, more reasons.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that, because confirmation bias is I mentioned it before. It's comforting, right? It's like when you're on shaky ground, to hear somebody, or a trusted source in inverted commas, kind of confirm what you're doing or what you're believing in, is comforting. So like in crypto, if you're already in on a particular coin, the last thing you're going to want to do is find out why your coin is shitcoin. Do you know what I mean? You're going to go and you're going to go and look for videos, or kind of prominent figures in the industry to kind of confirm that you have made a good decision. And I wrote down an equation. Actually, it's not an equation. It's more of like maybe a type of like formula. It's like social media plus the increase in available information equals an increase in the ability to confirm bias, which is also equal to the desire to challenge your own ideas. So there's so much emphasis, or there's so much available information, really, for you to be able to locate people with the same views as you, or the something that confirms what you're doing. It's so easy to do it now. Like the idea of you trying to, be scientific and being like, okay, well, I'm going to go against this, that you can do it, but it's so easy to find the confirmation now. There's so much information. You go on Google, I can have an argument with anyone about anything, right? And then, I go on Google and I say, for example, is the world flat? Now, the first five articles might say no. I'll just go to the sixth, which says yes, and that's what I'll present. and it's really interesting. It's really interesting. I mean, to crypto, I'm with you, man. I don't know how many videos I'm watching just saying the same thing that I've already done. I'm already 2 feet in, balls deep, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to people that are also 2 feet in, balls deep in the thing that I'm in to, like reassure me that I've, taken the right move here. When the scientific way would be everything that contradicts it, and then you kind of, at that point, when you've got the contradiction, the for and against, then you kind of build like a more solid argument. And ideally, you're supposed to do that first, but here we are.
Here we are. But I think it's also like, something that challenges what you believe is true is quite, threatening almost. You got to have a lot of vulnerability to say, or openness, to kind of really be swayed to believe otherwise. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like, Pizzagate. You know about the Pizzagate kind of like theories of, I think it was like, women are or girls are being trafficked underneath the ground of this pizza shop, and they're going to like these billionaires, and Trump, it goes, like there's stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people believe this. I mean, like I've spoken to people and they actually like believe this. And I mean, it's a far stretch theory, and there are many of them, right? And it's crazy that, again, the information is at your fingertips with computing and internet, and so the dangers of finding what a theory, a truth, a story, and then going down this rabbit hole to confirm that this is true. And the arguments are so well thought out. Like, they'll even perhaps, show a piece of footage of maybe Barack Obama, who's then done a special secret handshake with this other person. And then they say, but boom, they're both in it. They're both in. And then, and it can be dangerous, confirmation bias. So it's always quite, important, I would say, to be, challenge and critically think of things. Sure. And that's easy to say, because then, if you have conversations with people that believe they have critically thought about it and they believe that this is 100% true, then, that's them. You can't really bend them otherwise. But, perhaps even not think that something's 100% true, and actually there is this like, spectrum between 50% and 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, like part of it, will boil down to philosophy, right? Like if you believe everything is possible, then you have to also understand that everything that you think might be true, there's a possibility that it's also not. So I think having that mental space to be like, okay, there's a possibility that everything I think about this particular subject is nonsense, and if that's in the back of your mind, I guess you have the ability, well, if your theory proves to be untrue, it's not as painful, and this is what I was talking about with the test, the test of a theory. If you are like, okay, well, I everything that I've gone through kind of gives me this idea that this theory is right, at least 51%. Understanding that the 49% exists helps you if it does rain to be untrue. You're like, okay, well, 49% said it could have been untrue, so that's what it was, you know. And it doesn't hurt as much, you know. I think the closer it comes to home, or the closer your theory is to heart or to your existence, the less you want to challenge that, you know, because it you know, more pain, more change. But you know, being open, man, like it could be a simulation, and that, in my mind, that's the ultimate openness. Yeah, the ultimate openness is that it could all be a simulation, so it could all be nonsense. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there are things that are tougher to deal with, right? Like, so religion is an obvious one, right? This one is tougher to deal with. You know, you put it to the test on some things, and you know, now for some people they're questioning their entire existence or what they've been doing for the last 20 years, or you know. So I can see the danger of confirmation bias, constant confirmation bias, but I also see the danger of challenging oneself. But I just think the outcome of challenging oneself creates a, you know, more rounded human being and better human experience, personally.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, as you kind of say, it's questioning what you believe is true, and having that, you know, being able to have that open debate with yourself and with others, and seeking that other, you know, that counter fact, to make your own judgment, really. But it's always hard to seek that stuff where it challenges your initial belief, especially if it's ingrained, if it's something that you picked up and, you know, you thought, you know, the Illuminati rules the world, or the world is flat, or you know, the aliens that are on Earth, then, you know, that would probably be a recent fact that you would have picked up. And I guess it's a nice theory to believe. It's an interesting one, you know, especially with the anti-establishments and QAnon. Like, you know, that is all very an interesting space where, you know, there are these sort of counter beliefs to sort of to normal consensus, or the average consensus. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting space of, you know, just always being frosty.
Yeah, stay frosty. But you're right, like they're easier, like the things that aren't ingrained, things that you learned recently, they're easier to dispel. It's like a kind of, you know, I learned this yesterday and I fell in love with the idea yesterday, but you know, today, you know, someone showed me something different and it's not. And the other thing is like, the other thing is like, look, dude, like, be a scientist as much as you can, you know. Being a scientist, where's the evidence? Like, let's can you bring me some evidence? You know, and I think a lot of things fall apart when, you know, you put it on the person who is presenting this evidence presenting this argument to you or this theory to you, and you say, all right, I'm going to put the pressure on you. I want the evidence, you know, something that I can say, like solid, hard evidence. That is it for sure. Then I'll believe you.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's not. It's just like an article from Google or some shit.
And I think also, you know, when you kind of surround yourself with a very, I guess, what's the word? Not say divisive, but a very polarizing truth or polarizing fact. It kind of forces you to be in this sort of seek the tribe that believes and go into this echo chamber.
Sorry, it's okay.
This dude is getting lost in like.
Yeah. We got like a whole new guest who decides to like just, you know, make himself heard sometimes, you know.
yeah, get himself stuck in a bag. But no, yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's the tricky thing of like, if you believe in these truths and these truths are polarizing, then, you know, those people will tend to find and hang out with people that believe them and believe that truth as well, especially if it's polarizing. If it's not polarizing, then fine. But Labour will stay with Labour, or your religious beliefs will stick with your religious beliefs. Because if you hang around with someone who completely disagrees with you, how would you get on and have a very sort of open conversation with that without getting too emotional and attached to these truths? I think that's also a thing, getting attached to truths so much so, and that goes back to that 100%. When someone says, I believe it 100%, unless it's an actual event that happened, I find it very. I always look at those people with a very close eye.
yeah. Those 100% truths. And you know what? Talking about emotion and removing emotion to see the truth. Ooh, let's talk about trading, bro. Removing the emotion in trading. That is hard. That is hard. We're talking about trade strategy. So crypto is a ensuing world where things move fast. Everybody's heard about Bitcoin. I even believe that a lot of people have even heard about NFTs and all these kind of like instruments in the cryptocurrency world. So imagine you've taken a dip. We're gonna assume that some of our listeners are already in crypto, or they've already taken a dip and put some money in. How do you address like the most fundamental question in the whole game of trading? When do I buy? When do I sell? How do you address that? I'll start with you.
That's easy, mate. You buy low, you sell high.
Okay,
easy.
So let me ask you the next question. What is low and what is high?
Low is all-time low. High is all-time high.
Oh, so all right, fine. So let's say for example, low for Bitcoin is 0.01p or something. All-time high for Bitcoin is $61,000. So are you saying that you will, based on buying low, sell high, you're gonna wait for Bitcoin to get to 0.01p or cent before you buy it?
No, because we all know that Bitcoin's worth $1 million. So right now, this is a low.
All right. So
anywhere below $1 million, it's low.
Okay. Hey, I want this is the confirmation bias I want to believe. This is exactly what I want to hear.
This shit right here.
This is what I spend my day listening to, and I'm like, yeah, it is, yeah, $1 million, yeah. The people that actually say no, actually it's like $58,000. No, that's today. I know what it says on the chart, but actually, no, I'm looking at the truth. It's $1 million.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, look, in most things there has to be strategy towards life. But in this particular scenario, like building the strategy or even understanding the very basics, when to buy, when to sell. I think it's probably the first but most important question to address. And how do you start addressing that? Like, what are the first kind of questions you'd ask yourself in order to kind of answer that bigger question?
So I think one thing. I mean, I would probably go by. I don't like to trade. Ideally, that's not my. I don't think that's my zone of genius, as some people kind of call it. I like to see it as investing, albeit it could be trading. So I think we've been speaking about this because our sort of short-term strategies and tactics are sort of based around trading. And I guess the key things there that I look at are, especially crypto is a funny place, like, because with stock market, with equities, you have this sort of this cash flow, this company, and there's a very kind of a standardized way to value these companies. If it's price to earnings, price to sales, the dividend ratio, the cash flow, the discount cash flow formula. But in crypto, it's a whole new dynamic, right? A whole new paradigm where we're only going by bits and bytes almost, and then a bit of community. So the main thing in crypto I see is kind of comparable projects that have reached higher heights. That's in my mind, that's the best sort of thing to reference, or one of the best things. So you might say, okay, well, this project launched, delivered on its roadmap, and has a community, strong one, and has gone up to like 10 billion. This is equally or more superior of a project, and it's valued at like 10 million, and I think it can go to X. So that's one way, which is a very long-termist view. The other way, crypto is very volatile, so it's a volatility play. You're saying these small coins that are denominated or that are low cap, i.e. less than 10 million, you're saying, I think it's going to at least double, triple, whatever, 10x. And because crypto is such a volatile asset class at the moment, especially altcoins, then you're going for that sort of volatility. You think that it can have 20% or 100% swings in one day. And once it's done that, you've reached one of your objectives. So I think that's kind of one of the things that really kind of brings a lot of people into this, but how I guess I've been looking at trading strategies in terms of crypto world. What about you?
It's quite interesting because, I've understood that crypto is a community-based market. This all started off with, a couple of programmers and, people in the back doing some random stuff. And although it's kind of gone mainstream-ish, at least Bitcoin has gone mainstream, it's still, the big players are still kind of programmer, engineering type, and the people that follow them have an interest in tech, including us. I've got an interest in tech, an interest in the future, kind of interest in kind of some quasi-financial, smartish stuff. So this is all a community. So it's about how does the community move. So I think that is probably one of the big things that come to mind is, where is the community sentiment? And, there's a ton of stuff that's out there that will kind of point you in the direction. So you could go to a Telegram group and you could be like, okay, well, this Telegram group has 100,000 subscribers, and the market cap is quite low. And you think, well, it's got a lot of, it's got a big community and the market cap is quite low for what it is, and the product looks interesting. You could then come to an agreement that, okay, well, this has the potential to do something, right? So in terms of choosing projects, those are the type of metrics that I would look at. And in terms of trading, I'd definitely look at the 24-hour volume to just see how much has been traded that day. You got to see where the price action is as well, because there might be a huge volume on like price action because the coin is going down. But at least it kind of demonstrates the interest in the coin, like how much is it being traded. That's quite a big metric for me. But in terms of developing the strategy, like I think there should be rules, because a strategy is a mechanism. They're the same. They're the same word. It's a synonym. It's a mechanism. It's a mission. I'm going to just break down some words so that I can help. So that I can help my own strategy right now. I'm talking to myself. A mechanism, a machine, and when I think about a machine, it's built already, right? It's built. There's all these components. They all have their own tasks, and they all do their own thing. But it's a machine. It's something static, in a way, right? Like it doesn't turn into a new machine. It's a machine built, right? So I think, building a trade strategy, you have to remove all emotions, man. Like it's and that's a hard thing, because you one of the biggest emotions you have even coming into it is hope. Hope is the biggest emotion. Like, why are you in this thing if you don't think it's going to go up? You hope it goes up. There's no guarantees that it's going to go up at all. um
Mm.
so so how do you go from um I'm buying into this thing because I hope it will do X, to I'm buying into this thing because I've seen it's, like you mentioned, it's kind of like comparable substitute do that. And I think this project, given what it's done, will get to here. And myself personally, I like orders, so if I see something and it's like, I don't know, £1, and I've seen this comparable, substitute do the same thing, do a 10x, I'll say, all right, cool. I think this is going to do 10x. So I'm going to set the order to sell at 10x rather than watch it go all the way to 10x. I'll set the order simply so that it's not me choosing when to sell on as it's approaching that. Because if it's down to me, I might say it might go even higher. So,
Mm.
and then
Mm.
I could just miss the shot because I'm trading on my emotion, on how I feel. Whereas I've, if I make a judgment based on some metric here or there, and I say, all right, this is the sell order, even as I enter, I'm thinking about where I'm going to sell this thing. And I put
Mm.
the sell order in literally as soon as I enter, then this trade is now out of my hands. This trade, I've made it and I trust it. So I walk away from that trade and look at other trades to make. Um, for me personally, that helps remove at least some of the emotion in trading for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I hear that. That's a very sort of methodical strategy to have. I think it works for sure if you're doing more not say high frequency stuff, but you've got multiple of these things going on. Like if it's like your aim is to make 50% in each one on a trade, etc. But I think that's where I differ a little bit, because a lot of these things, not say I'm trying to ride it to the moon, but I'm trying to give it enough space to ride out as much as possible. Because when you look back and at a good year for these coins, they can do thousands of percents. And so I don't want to carve that off early. I want to pick a project that I sort of, fairly understand and believe in, and the team's good, etc., to let that ride for as long as possible. And, it's an interesting thing to just point out that, with trading, with any trading and investing, you're trying to beat the market, beat a reference. And at the moment, if it's stocks, you're trying to beat the NASDAQ, the S&P, because you think you're smarter. You think you can produce alpha, which is alpha is sort of the incremental, returns above then investing in a sort of index. So if that's FTSE and FTSE goes up 10% and your investment goes up 15%, that's 5% alpha. I think, and with crypto, the alpha play is, I think for me at least, it's Ethereum and Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes up, 100%, I want my investments to beat that. So then I'm beating Bitcoin, and I haven't lost any purchasing power of Bitcoin. And so, another thing with crypto is that it's quite momentumous, right? It's a momentum play. Generally, everything kind of is highly correlated. So you might have a correlation of 0.75 to 1, probably 90, and that means it's highly correlated. So when Bitcoin moves up, everything kind of moves up, and so with a lot of coins. And so the play is what coins are correlating highly and which coins are gonna have higher beta, which is like the rate of return. So, for example, if Bitcoin goes up 10%, you want your coins go up 50% or 20% or even higher. And that's the play. So I start with my fundamental belief is my confirmation bias that it's told me is Bitcoin's going to 1 million. And so my sort of objective now is to find projects which I think can and have outperformed Bitcoin for me to increase my Bitcoin purchasing power. And rather than not saying, and not to get too emotional on purchases, on exits, that's a tricky one. I won't lie, but I think for me, it's trying to invest in something which I think, there's something comparable that's higher, as a higher value, and that's a target. So, you can then, it's just like a house, for example. If you buy a house, it's 3-bed and it's near a train station. On that same road, the house should be pretty much in the similar price range, or if not exact. But maybe on another road, which isn't quite as nice, it will be a bit lower. But you can compare the two and say, okay, well, if that price, that house is worth that much. Well, actually, no, better one is, there's a house that's really nice, the best on the road, and that recently sold for 1 million. And you look at a house on the same road and it's not worth 1 million. It's selling for 700,000, but it's really, really run down. And that if you do your house up to a certain standard, it should be 1 million, all things being equal. And so that's having that comparable, those comps. So yeah, that's kind of how I try to look at things.
Yeah. It's interesting because it makes a ton of sense, right? One of the questions that we talk about regularly is this trade-off between alts and Bitcoin, and at the end of the day, what is it that you want to hold, or what do you really see value in? And you mentioned that part of your play involves being in altcoins because you receive more alpha. But is there a point? And you mentioned your Bitcoin buying power. Is there a point in which you say to yourself, all right, fine, I've increased my Bitcoin buying power, I'm going to buy Bitcoin now, rather than I've increased my Bitcoin buying power, I'm going to buy another altcoin to increase my Bitcoin buying power even further? Which is highly possible. Yeah. I mean, how do you do that? How do you make that transition from something that has had exponential growth in the crypto world, at least exponential growth, and then how do you then transition into something that is pretty much guaranteed to not have a similar degree of growth?
Yeah, not similar, but also still a lot better than any other alternative assets that you can invest in. So for sure, the appeal of Bitcoin is not static, right? It's the appeal of Bitcoin is definitely the potential of its growth. And if the belief is that it can 10x from here, that's sort of a target. So that means Bitcoin is 500,000. It's still appealing, right? If you've got a fairly substantial amount in there. So yeah, and I mean, ultimately, I think it's about, and you've mentioned your strategy as well. It's just trying to be disciplined, and I haven't set any complete, absolute barriers around that. Like to say if I hit a certain amount, then I move it. Again, part of it would be gut, trying to sort of be a bit, keep your finger on the pulse, and when it's looking a bit sketchy for the whole market, just take cover. Hopefully by that time, you're kind of well up into the purchasing power of Bitcoin, and so the short-term moves as it starts getting really frothy, you can sort of withstand. And then also, I think, it's also being disciplined on the way up.
Yeah.
So have certain checkpoints. I haven't established those checkpoints, but having certain checkpoints where you can say, okay, this is a nice amount, and I'll just put this into the HODL purse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be that Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Agreed. So, if I pose that same question to me, when do I exchange parabolic altcoin for at least relatively non-parabolic Bitcoin? That's what my orders are about. I put them there so I don't have to think about it when it actually happens, because it's too tempting. It's too tempting to not trade into Bitcoin or Ethereum. And the thing that even keeps me making those orders is reminding myself, even though this might be wrong, to remind myself that the true alpha in this whole game is Bitcoin. And that's what I want. Like even the projects that are good and seem good and give a great return on investment, the Bitcoin is what I'm in this for. I have to tell myself this, because it helps me continue to make those orders, even though there's a part of me that's like, okay, well, you're in this for money, bro. Like why are you gonna, kill your 10x opportunity for this 3x opportunity here? And again, part of that is just me telling myself Bitcoin is why I'm here. I'm not here for dollars. I'm here for Bitcoin. And I have to reinforce that, and that's a tough thing. That's part of the strategy, like constantly reinforcing this idea. Another subject that we talk about quite a lot, right? I mean, you've got 8,500 cryptocurrencies. There's a ton of them that are going to do 10, 100, 1,000x even. Some of them do some. We've seen some crazy charts. You see some charts that do 21,000x in one day. And it's just like, where does this coin even reside? You can't even get on the market. It's just some nonsense. So like, then it kind of comes up like, okay, which ones do you choose and how many do you choose? So now you're on this kind of diversification versus concentration. How much money do you actually need, real money that you've earned, do you need in order to have enough conviction in enough coins to then, walk into the moon? And it seems like, as we look at, white papers, or I don't even look at white papers. Why am I lying? As we look at WordPress websites and listen to a couple of YouTubes here and there, a ton of projects look good. 1,000, I can honestly say there's at least 100 projects that look actually revolutionary. Well done. I would be in part of that, and it could be moon. Yeah, so I think, do I have enough money to invest in all of those projects with enough conviction that if they do come off, this is life-changing money? So what is that, 100 projects? If I put like $300 in each, that's $30,000. You know what I mean? I can't just magic it out of my ass. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna have to choose some that I have a strong conviction in, and then potentially reinvest in those over time to be like, okay, this is going to turn into something of true value,
That's why I think it's important. I mean, there's the difference between trading and investing, right? And again, I'm looking at more investing strategies. I try to anyway. Of course, if there's a nice bit of profit, you take it off the table. But if you are in a bull run and it's momentumous, then again, everything's going to go up. You're going to see a sea of green, and it's just, are you in the stocks which give you the higher, a satisfactory sort of return against Bitcoin or Ethereum? That is the question, really. And again, it goes down to, the old sort of acronym DYOR, right? If you do your research and you have a thesis that you are going by, then that helps, because that helps you hold and, turn the blinkers off, but you don't invest in something that, if you say you don't invest in something that you don't understand, or you don't invest in hype coins, then, which I'm not saying that that's me. I mean, you take part in some hype, but then, perhaps then you become disciplined, and then you say, I can critically look at a project and understand it and understand the value. That's why I think, I've been looking at recently is like DeFi, because, it's one of the sort of good use cases for crypto, and I can see it adds value to other people. Like if somebody wants to get a good return on their money, if they want to convert US dollars or GBP or euros or any currency to USDC, which is essentially exactly the same as a dollar, you can get 16% off on that money. All you have to do is jump through a couple of hoops, and that's getting easier and easier. So I can easily understand and see the actual value of a decentralized finance project, as it sort of relates to our financial, sort of existing financial structure. So, things like that is like where you can actually, start to see it, look at it, value it, and believe in it, and HODL. And it's a slightly different. I don't try to do like day-to-day trading necessarily. Maybe small opportunities you might, but and again, I've heard that perhaps having a portfolio of 15 projects is optimal, or 15 investments. This is like sort of trying to translate stock market portfolio management to crypto portfolio management, which I don't know if it's an exact match, but yeah.
Sure. Slightly different. Volatility is ridiculous in crypto, and it's and it's hard. It's hard to adjust your expectations, like realistically. When you look at your stocks or whatever, and it does 20% that year, it's amazing. The idea that crypto does 20, you're in a project and the crypto does 20% for that year, you'd probably be a bit pissed off. You'd probably be like, yeah, I'm not. What am I doing this for? This is not it. It's supposed to do like 10,000%. That's what it's supposed to do. So again, managing expectations is another part of the strategy. Don't lose any money. That's okay. Don't lose any money is strong, but don't lose money. That hold on to that initial. Have an idea of protecting that initial. That's something I definitely go by. And again, I think that I was listening to one of the podcasts that we like listening to, and there was like a fund manager, and he said similar. He's like, I'm not very good at trading, because he always ends up being his worst enemy when trading. He will sell something on an impulse or buy something on an impulse, and not even like a complete impulse. Do a bit of research, do a little bit of something, but then he will trade out of it, through fear or greed or something. And he says he's not a great trader because he finds it hard to dissociate the emotion from it. So in my opinion, another great part of the trade strategy is to do other things to bring emotional balance. Don't look at charts all day, G. go and do something else to just recenter yourself, whatever it is, because it helps when you do look at the chart again. You're not looking at with these kind of crazy jaded eyes, which I have them sometimes.
2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, dude, there's been too many nights, and ultimately, like running or something that brings you some peace, that kind of brings that energy level down. It helps you when you do go look back at it and you be like, actually, I think that was a decent move, or that was wild. Why did you even do that? I think that's a big part of the trade strategy that maybe not many talk about, but it's probably a good idea. Yeah, man. Look, I think we'll touch on our last subject quickly. Fun though, fun. You know, so we're in this. We're kind of like trading our way to the moon. But what exactly is the moon? Like, what are we doing this for? You know, like, what does the moon look like? And not does the moon look. What does the moon look like in lifestyle? Because we'll save that for another day. But what type of things are on the moon? On Rich's moon, what type of things are there? What's going on up there?
So the moon, we're talking about victory, right? We're talking about no boundaries, everything's there, like the world is at your disposal.
If that's what the moon looks like for you, yeah.
I think you know, I think we spoke about this before, but materials stuff doesn't really move me as such. So you know, if we're like, I wouldn't like to say, yeah, you know, it's like a mansion with like a basketball court and a tennis court, and it's all. I don't. I mean, you could. A part of me would like to taste that. That's fine, but it's not what drives me per se.
Okay. Let me interrupt. All right. So be you, the nuanced rich. Yep. A basketball court with a mansion is not going to entice you, but there's things in between now and that, you know, that will entice you and you do want to have, you know. Think about something. I could. Do you want me to lay out a few? Because I thought about it, and then you know,
you do it.
A house in the sun, man. Jeez, a house in the sun. I don't know what it looks like. Don't know what this house looks like, but it's in the sun, and it's comfortable. And actually, there's a view. There's a decent view. You know, something where I'm like, oh man, it's nice to be out here. Maybe a little veranda as well. Like, not a huge one. Doesn't have to be big. It might just be like a little balcony. I don't know. But you look out, it's sunny, and water is nearby. You know, that is one of the things on the moon for me. House in the sun. You know what else is on the moon for me? Like a little studio area. I don't know if whether that's in my house or like you know, like its own premises, but like a little studio area where we could do stuff like podcasts. Other people could come and do podcasts. You know, people can record music. All types of art going on in there. Like something like that. Probably, and it'll be a business that will be managed, I guess. I'll have to manage. I'd probably take great joy in managing it, to be fair. But something that's cool, you know, like the cool kids are there. You're there with the cool kids, and it's like it brings people together, you know, like, and I think that would be so cool. Honestly, just it would be great. It would be great. It would be great. Like that would be such a good time. Like I wouldn't ever run out of entertainment. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be fun. Again, like you, man, I'm not totally materialistic in the sense that I want the craziest, wildest stuff. You know, like I'm not that guy. Just the stuff that I feel that will, you know, make me a bit happy. You know, like just kind of like keep the happiness going in a nice setting. But contrary to all that, a Ferrari's on the moon.
Ferrari's there.
Ferrari's there.
All right.
Ferrari's there. And not only just a Ferrari, because the Ferrari only has 2 seats. It's not okay to just have that car by itself.
Okay.
Probably
you
need
need
like
all the range.
No, I don't need the whole range. I just need another car. It can't just be that car. It has to be something, and maybe a saloon type car, not long or extravagant, but just one that goes kind of fast and has 4 doors, and you know, 5 people can sit in it. Yeah.
You could just tell everybody to meet you there. Like wherever you're going, to say, hey, like, look, I'll meet you there. I'll be there in like 10 minutes. Just kind of meet you there. That's it.
But you know, it still assumes.
Sorry, guys.
It still assumes that Rihanna doesn't have a buff sister that might want to come along. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you're gonna need like more than the 2 seats that are there. And you know, I've got a little boy. You know.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I kind of might want to transport someone, my mom and my sisters. um, I can't really tell, like, I can't really say to one of my sisters, actually, no, I want that one to come with me, or tell my mom, okay, mom, you come, sisters, you stay.
It gets
Or my
political.
dad, or my dad, you come, mom, you stay. It's gonna get tough. Um, I was saying some cool gadgets, but I don't know. I can't explain what they are, but like just some cutting edge stuff. They don't even have to be super expensive. Just something cutting edge, just something to be like, dude, have you seen this? And always have enough so that I can give them out as well. Like I'm like, have you
Yeah.
seen this shit? Like this shit is the shit. Here's one. Try it, take it home, see how it works. It's sick. um, yeah. Like so that you end up being this guy who's never left. He's on the edge of stuff. He's like it's
Cutting edge,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, cutting edge stuff.
Iron
And it
Man.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have to be like a ton of stuff. Just a few things here and there. Probably really subtle things as well. Not like here's my Iron Man suit. I can't give you one because it cost me like £1 billion. And then maybe a couple of tailored suits. Not that many. Maybe one or maybe three, I guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, not that many.
One for wedding, one for funeral, one for birthdays.
Yeah, something like that. And finally, and this is Moon, by the way. This is Moon. Altogether, this is Moon. Finally, probably like a nice like apartment, like a loft type. I don't know, penthouse potentially, but like it doesn't have to be as nice as a penthouse, but something kind of lofty, in a city. So like a nice city location. Whether that be London, because I'm already here, this is my life. Or some other city in the world where it's like, all right, I'm a flyby here. Like this is my flyby. This is where I sit and stay. And when I'm having to be into the world for business or whatever, that's where
when you're in town.
When I'm in town, that's where I'm at. Yeah. And that would be it, really. I mean, it's not that much, what 10 mil?
Just 10 mil. Just 10 mil.
Just just pulls out the back of the pocket like it's nothing, mate. A couple of coins. Wait, yeah.
It's a good lifestyle. It's a good lifestyle.
It's just some stuff.
Yeah, I think. I think a lot of that would be core of me as well. I'm not too. I haven't given it great thought. A house, like a place in the sun, I think will extend life and happiness. So yeah, living in the sun would be cool. And there's nothing really stopping me now, really, from that. So I don't know. It doesn't have to be Moon. So yeah, it's just making that jump, really. I think Tesla for sure. Just the latest Tesla, the latest and greatest. That'd be cool. And yeah, it's like a place where having something where you can provide like economic opportunity for others. So it's not material, but something where you can help others, whether it's that educational or business wise. That'd be really cool. That's Moon for me, where I can provide opportunities for others. And yeah, leaving a stamp on the world, I guess. I don't think, again, it doesn't really go to material for me, because that just goes, but trying to kind of leave a legacy and do good for the world and be remembered in that light, that's kind of that'd be more of a nice thing to go for and have money and resources to do. And I guess I can see why a lot of these like billionaires and millionaires they look towards that, like your Warren Buffetts, your Bill Gates, because what else is next? Like you've won the game, you got the number, and then what do you want? How do you want to be remembered? Like who do you want to come to your funeral? What do you want people to say about you when you're gone? And I think that's when when Moon reaches whatever number that is, and however you feel that is, then that'll be probably my focus, my concern.
Yeah, I mean, the question was about the materials, though, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. No, but sorry, I agree with you, man. It's like, um, you know, part of being on the moon is bringing others with you, right? Because who wants to be there by themselves? And it's not necessarily even bringing others with you so that they can, they can share your presence necessarily. It's just like elevating people, even people you don't know, even people you probably never even met. Just elevating people. You know what I think about quite a bit. Where would I go in the world if I was on the moon and had all these things, and money was not an issue, pretty much taken care of? Where would I go in the world and make just a crazy impact? Like spend a ton of time developing a place so that a generation of kids could see a new way of life. And I think about that a lot. A part of that is kind of baked into the places that I travel to, because I would actually like to be able to be like, okay, all right, if this is my legacy, how many people did that affect? I know I can affect the people that I already know in this place, right? I know that. But what about in the world as a whole, and the places with people that have zero opportunity? People here got opportunities. But what about the places where people have zero opportunities? Could I create one? Could I go over there from scratch near enough, or not from scratch, from what I've built up in my privileged position, and then be able to create opportunities for generations of people there, even if it was an opportunity to just fucking not worrying about finding food, like, just the basics, to give people basics, like, here you are, I don't care. Wouldn't, again, like, not an egotistical man. I wouldn't need to like have a plaque made in my honor or anything like that. Just to know that actually, maybe for myself before I die, actually, there's all these starving people here, or there's all these people that had nothing, and I paved the way. That would complete me as a human, honestly. And I think that would be a true challenge. I think I could see myself, if I went along that path. That's probably where I'd spend a lot of my time. Just doing that. Yeah.
It's a good place to spend your time.
You can see why people become philanthropists, right? Like, they get, materialism is boring after a while.
Yeah. Doesn't like, there's no sort of happiness that comes in materials. That's why I don't really speak to it or try to immerse myself in that, or try to not to, but yeah, just trying to set my direction in the right way. But yeah, definitely, it's not fulfilling. It's fulfilling for a short period of time to get like a nice materialistic thing, but it's fulfilling for a lifetime to help others. And I think that's why the likes of like teachers and nurses are great, and a lot of them tend to be fairly happy because they are contributing, they are seeing growth, they are helping others day to day, which is a nice position to be in, especially as you can see it like up front and center. So yeah, I think that, again, there's nothing stopping me from doing it now, which is the funny thing. But I've always kind of I've always had it in the back of my mind of like, when that time comes, or in the later stages of my life, that would be my focus.
So look, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this wonderful episode. Again, subscribe, follow, comment, DM, send money. Just do everything. If you're going to send money, please send Bitcoin, not shitcoin.
BTC address in the notes.
Yeah, BTC address in the notes. We need to. We'll look at charts for you, but we accept donations in Bitcoin. Richie Rich, any last words?
No, just I guess stay frosty.